I now call the Powhatan County Planning Commission meeting to order. I don't know if the mic's on, but Mr. Van Gelder will lead us in the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we ask for your guidance and direction in our collective effort to be good stewards of the public trust, make fair and wise decisions, and keep Powhatan a wonderful place to work and live. We say this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Moving on to approve the Planning Commission meeting minutes from the April 5th meeting. Do you have any amendments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. All right, I move we approve the April 5th Planning Commission meeting minutes. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Howland, anything to note on the administrative items?
I guess y'all have got it in the packet. I will update you on the board meeting last night. They approved all the resolutions fixing the fiscal year 2017 real estate tax rate at 90 cents, adopting the fiscal year 2017 operating budget and appropriating the funds, adopting the County of Powhatan fiscal year 2017 5-year capital improvement plan and other capital program, amending the fiscal year 2016 Powhatan County operating budget by budgeting and appropriating $54,455,000 for the capital improvement program, amending the Powhatan County Code of Ordinances Appendix A fee schedule to increase water rates, wastewater rates, emergency transport fees, and zoning ordinance fee, and to update certain other fees, adopting the fiscal year 2017 staffing plan, amending the classification and compensation plan, and implementing the changes to Personal Property Tax Relief Act of 1998, specific relief for 2016.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Holland? All right, this time we will have the public comment period on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. Please come forward and state your name for the record if you would like to speak on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. Seeing there is no one, I will close the public comment period. We have no presentations. We'll move to our public hearings.
First one is 1601 AZ, Village Growth Area Districts Intensity and Dimensional Standards. An ordinance amending and reenacting provisions contained in intensity and dimensional standards for the Village Residential District, Village Center District, and Commerce Center District of Article 4, Village Growth Area Districts of Zoning Ordinance related to minimum front yard depth for principal and accessory uses in parking lots, and the maximum gross floor area in the Village Center District. Proposed amendment is primarily to address the concerns that staff has with the current minimum front yard depth for development within the VR, VC, and CC districts, which is 10 feet. Excuse me. At this distance, new development along Anderson Highway would be set back from the right-of-way by 10 feet. Board of Supervisors has determined that any expansion of Route 60 will occur to the outside of the existing road right-of-way. The current setback will allow principal and accessory buildings and parking lots to be constructed 10 feet from Route 60. This will become problematic for the county in the future with any potential expansion of Route 60, as it will drive up right-of-way acquisition cost. This issue could have been negotiated with applicants during a rezoning for a project and submitted as a proffered condition. The climate surrounding proffers given SB 549 does not provide staff with a comfort level that it can rely on proffers to accomplish the desired setback on Route 60, thus the proposed ordinance amendment. This ordinance amendment also increases the maximum gross floor area in the Village Center District from 10,000 square feet to 15,000 square feet. Staff is proposing this change to allow for a larger building footprint in the VC district, which will allow for greater flexibility from a development perspective. The proposed increase is consistent with the Village Center Land Use Policy Number 10, which states the scale of buildings in village centers should maintain a small town feel and be limited to buildings with small footprints of 15,000 or less. Buildings should be limited for a total area not to exceed 45,000 square feet. The Planning Commission staff briefly discussed the proposed amendments of the setbacks for principal and accessory structures and parking lots at the April 5th, 2016 workshop. A public hearing was advertised for May 3rd, 2016 to solicit citizen comment regarding the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance and was advertised as increasing the setbacks to 75 feet for principal and accessory structures, uses, and parking lots for the VR, VC, and CC districts. The advertised increase allows the commission the flexibility and opportunity to determine the appropriate setback distance at any distance less than 75 feet. The proposed zoning amendment language attached to the staff report for the commission consideration increases the setbacks. And you have a chart on page 14, but I've handed out a new chart. We didn't allow for rural collector roads, and I've added those in at 35 in all districts. And the rural collector accessory uses, we've added those at 20 for all districts. Staff recommends approval of the proposed amendment to amend and reenact provisions contained in section 83-220C, intensity and dimensional standards for the village residential district, section 83-230C, intensity and dimensional standards for the village center district, and section 83-240C, intensity and dimensional standards for the commerce center district of Article 4, village growth area districts of the zoning ordinance of County of Powhatan, increasing the minimum front yard depth for principal and accessory uses and parking lots in all of the aforementioned districts and increasing the maximum gross floor area in the VC district. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, let's first have the public hearing on this case. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name for the record.
My name is Woody Cofer, Powhatan, Virginia. I just want to make one note that on the accessory uses, in the major arterials, which y'all talking about Route 60, I think, you allow parking in the front of the building. But when you do the other two, minor and the rural collector, with accessory setback, you are not letting parking in front of it. So you need to, if you want to have parking in front of those buildings, you need to increase the accessory back a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we can, anyone else? Seeing there is no one, we'll close the public hearing and move on to discussion. Do you guys have questions of staff, or do you want to, are you comfortable with the way this looks?
Just one question, on the, going to 1,500 square feet, 15,000 square feet, excuse me. Have you seen drivers to that's necessary? Have what's kind of the genesis of this?
We were trying to align with the comp plan, and when Jimmy Sowers went to rezone his property right there at Flat Rock,
Yeah,
it wouldn't allow for a building over 10,000 square feet. He wanted one, so we got him to go to Commerce Center. So we looked at the comp plan, and it recommends 15,000, so we decided it was one of the clarion errors probably.
thank you.
And one other thing, if they do the VCPD, they can go larger than that as well.
That's where they can negotiate
Negotiate the
setbacks or
size
building
and setbacks,
sizes
so
or
they have a
anything
little
else.
more leeway
Gotcha.
than just this.
Ed,
As
the setbacks that are on this chart, how do they compare to today?
Our old ordinance
Old ordinance, Jim,
was the top row in the chart, 75 and 50.
okay?
And then we looked at a minor arterial and reduced it to 50 and 35, just trying to give them a little more flexibility. And then we added the rural collector at 35 and 20. The current ordinance we've adopted gave everybody 10 and 10 from what Clarion put in there. So that meant if somebody zoned on 60, they could go 10
10
feet.
feet,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Any other?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Well, there was a concern with.
The parking,
Parking.
yes, that,
I need to understand that.
But these are minimum setbacks, so you could move it further back and get front parking if you moved it back beyond the minimum, right? Yeah.
If you moved your building, instead of 50 feet, if you moved it to 63 feet, you could get parking in front with this setback on here.
Right.
But if you held the building close as you could, it's not enough room for
To put
18-foot
the-
space and a 5-foot sidewalk.
Right. And that's on the,
The minor
Minor and the
arterials
rural.
and the rural collectors.
so you wouldn't allow for the parking in the front, basically?
Well, if you had the building at the minimum setback and put a 5-foot sidewalk and 18-foot space, that's 23-foot difference.
Yeah,
And we've only got
20.
15 feet.
15, rather. So, what do you all think? Do you want to, I guess, increase that, or,
I'm fine with it the way it is.
okay, that's kind of where I'm at. Okay with it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it increased, and also the building size, I think makes sense on Route 60.
I think they're talking about changing these two, right?
The rural,
Well, the descriptor was, are we voting on those all separately?
no, we would do it as a lump sum with the, as amended with
The descriptor also
the,
talks about the increase of amending the maximum gross floor area.
right,
And I'm just saying, I think that makes sense on Route 60 to give more
yeah,
space.
you're for it.
there.
All right,
We're just
go.
talking about Mr. Coker's comment.
All right, let's, anyone care to make a
The,
motion?
the minor arterial and rural collectors are not along 60. They would
Right.
be on lower classification roads. If you wanted to allow for the parking, you'd have to reduce the 35 in minor arterial to 25, and you'd have to reduce under rural collector 10? 15. 10. You'd have to reduce both of those by 10 feet to allow for parking in front of the building without moving the building back behind the required front yard.
Okay.
That's only like 13, not 6, that's number 6.
Right, you're just
Right.
talking about the
Right.
rural collector.
Okay. All right.
Do we have a VR, VC, or CC on any of these?
There you
Well,
can negotiate the
You'd-
setbacks.
You'd have to zone a property for it to become VR, VC, or CC. The three areas we recommended are our courthouse area
Right.
overlay, the eastern, and the
Right.
7-Eleven.
So, other than those three areas,
It wouldn't affect them anyway.
Okay. All right, would anyone care to make a motion? Any other questions or move forward? All right. I move the Planning Commission recommend approval of zoning ordinance amendment 1601AZ. This motion is based upon,
Including the suggested.
yes,
rural
including
collector.
the suggested, thank you, including the, as amended with the rural collector setbacks added in. This motion is based upon the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practice. Any questions or comments on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, our next case is rezoning 16-03-REZC, County of Powhatan, 3975 and 3977 Old Buckingham Road. The County of Powhatan, on behalf of the county and the Powhatan County School Board, is requesting the rezoning of 7.3 plus minus acres located on the south side of Old Buckingham Road, approximately 375 feet west of its intersection with Man Road, from residential commercial, and agricultural A10 to Village Center. These parcels involved are identified as 3975 Old Buckingham Road, reference is tax map 26B2-1-24, which is owned by the Powhatan County School Board, and 3977 Old Buckingham Road, tax parcel 26B2-1-9, which is owned by the County of Powhatan. The applicant has initiated the request to construct a joint transportation maintenance facility that will service both the county and the school board vehicle fleets. The two parcels involved will be consolidated into a single parcel to allow for the construction of the new maintenance facility and transferred to the Powhatan County School Board. The county will retain the westernmost triangle of the site, either in fee or easement, as the location of an above-ground water storage tank that will be constructed to address the fire suppression needs of both the maintenance facility and the Powhatan Middle School projects, and provide for future water capacity in the Courthouse Village area. Due to the location of the proposed transportation maintenance facility in relation to the zoning district boundaries, it was necessary to rezone the entire site to move forward with the project. The proposed redevelopment of the site will eliminate the two middle entry/exit points while maintaining the eastern and westernmost access points. The elimination of two access points will reduce potential traffic conflicts along Old Buckingham Road and improve traffic flow in and out of the site. The building and site currently on 3975 Old Buckingham Road. The building and site currently serve as a Powhatan school bus garage, maintenance facility, and parking lot. The outbuilding located along the rear of the property will be retained and two trailers will be removed. The site also contains 4 fuel pumps that will be retained at their current location, and a canopy will be added over the fuel pumps as part of the project. 3977 Old Buckingham Road currently has a 4,712 square foot, one-story block building, which was a former location of the Powhatan Locker Plant, which served as a meat processing facility. The building is currently vacant and will be demolished as part of this project. The request is generally consistent with the recommendations of the 2010 Comprehensive Land Use Plan, and therefore staff recommends approval of the request submitted by the County of Powhatan and amend the county's zoning district map. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, sir. We'll now have the public hearing on this case. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name for the record. Seeing there is no one, we will close the public hearing. Do you all have any questions of staff?
Tom, if the county's exempt from the zoning standards
Correct.
and ordinances, why do we do this?
We're doing it, I think the decision was made that we're going to go ahead and hold ourselves to the same law we hold everybody else to.
Okay,
And even though we aren't required to do that, the decision was made to do that.
okay, thank
Give
you.
the public, it gives the public input.
Right, okay,
Okay. That it?
that's it.
All right. I move the Planning Commission recommend approval of the requested rezoning 1603. This motion is based upon the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practice. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, final case.
Our last case, 1601 SA, County of Powhatan, 3975 and 3977 Old Buckingham Road, substantial accord determination. In coordination with the Powhatan County Public School System, the County of Powhatan has requested the Department of Community Development to conduct a substantially in accord review to determine whether a property proposed for a vehicle maintenance facility is substantially in conformance with the county's adopted 2010 Long-Range Comprehensive Plan. The ability to provide necessary public facilities and services is a priority for the county, and while the existing and proposed transportation maintenance facilities are not shown on the public facilities map in the 2010 Long-Range Comprehensive Plan, a vehicle maintenance facility was found to be a preferable use for the site. After reviewing the proposed location in the context of existing and recommended land uses, availability of access, utilities, and emergency services, and other critical site characteristics and considerations, staff concludes the proposed use of the site represents no conflict with the intent of the adopted 2010 Long-Range Comprehensive Plan. Designed in accordance with the zoning ordinance standards, the proposed vehicle maintenance facility and associated site development is deemed to be substantially in accord with the goals, objectives, and policies of the 2010 plan. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
We'll now have the public hearing on this substantial accord case. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name for the record. Seeing there is no one, we will close the public hearing. Do you all have any questions of staff in regarding this?
Not I.
Okay. In that case, Tom, how do I've never done one of these before, so I say I move that the commission recommend approval of the substantial accord. How would I word that?
Move that the commission find that the project is in substantial accord with the
Okay.
comprehensive plan.
I move that the planning commission finds that this is in accord, this is,
Substantial accord.
This is substantial accord. This motion is based upon the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practice. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, I slaughtered that, but I think we got the general gist. Okay. All righty.
Don't get them very often.
Any other business? If not, we will move to our workshop meeting, which I think, Ed, is being held over there, correct?
It's all here, but we can move there if you like.
Okay, I told March to set it up over there, but maybe he didn't relay. I don't know. If not, no worries. He didn't relay. Okay.
Sick man.
Okay.
He's sick
Do you
man.
all want to stay here, or do you want to take 5 minutes and have it set up over there?
I don't see any reason to put,
Okay.
I'm with Bill.
All right. In that case, basically, we have two things on the workshop agenda. One is the comp plan update, which housing was the section to be discussed tonight. And then secondly, we added in large lot development, which we were going to talk about after that. So if we want to flip to the housing, this page shouldn't take too long to discuss.
It's chapter 5.
Yep.
it's economic development and housing, is it not?
I thought it was housing.
Just housing. is
Just
what we're
housing.
Just
talking
housing?
about.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just housing.
Ooh, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. That's what I read.
I'm looking at this, the question I had was, for the background, has the background changed? And I don't know, Ed, I mean, you probably haven't really looked into any of this in fairness to you. I was gonna ask March some of that, you know.
Well, that goes along with all the updated, all these type things, where it's cleanup and going back and looking at
The updated on the data,
salaries
yeah.
and cost of homes and all those types of things need to be updated.
So that being said, do you guys wanna change anything outside of checking the data to see if that needs to be updated?
On page 31,
Mm-hmm,
housing objectives,
yep.
1A. Revise the
accessory.
zoning ordinance to allow for the development of accessory units,
Which we do,
but only by CUP, correct?
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Did this contemplate making this a by right?
I have that highlighted as well, because I wondered the
I
same
mean, I
thing,
did-
because
I-
we
that's
do
a que- that's a-
allow it, but like I
that's just a
said, by
question.
CUP, so.
I think we can keep it as a,
CUP.
a lot of time, if you recall, we did a lot of, put on things, conditional use permit, to have some control over these.
So really,
If we're promoting a more diverse housing opportunities, by then putting up a regulatory, the question is, are we putting up a regulatory barrier by requiring a CUP? I don't have any, it's just a question, I don't.
The only
yes, I
question I
think
would
we
have
are,
is-
but I think it's a good one.
And the only thing that would, speaking to what you're talking about, the cost, I
Mhm.
forget how much that costs to put that application in, and
1,000, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
Ed, is a
Yes.
CUP application 1,000? Do you know?
I think it
Okay.
is 1,000.
If they're zoned agriculture, they can already do an accessory dwelling unit of family members, but they can't rent it out. In other districts, you cannot.
you cannot what?
Run
You
it
cannot
out.
have an accessory dwelling unit unless it's a CUP.
Well, that's what we're talking about, and so if we're requiring a CUP, and you're talking about barriers.
Is that, the question
To
is
me,
that a
if we're looking-
barrier? Or is that good land use practice?
To me, it's good land use, but if you're talking about barriers, $1,000 might be a barrier to, if we're looking for lower cost housing like bullet B. So, I don't know if we as we look at this, considering,
Even then, we don't allow them to rent it out to anybody else.
yeah.
Yeah.
But still, if you're gonna have a family member, something like that, you could drop $1,000, you're talking about barriers, that would be in my mind.
I think some of this is talking about mobile homes on farms. In other words, we allow farmers to have mobile homes for their workers.
But this is.
But we
generic.
allowed that. I mean, I
Right,
remember,
But they were going through CUPs.
mhm.
And then we did away with the 2-year or whatever.
This-
And
there's
then.
no sunset, right?
Yeah, it became almost just a rollover thing without any cost involved. And I think that talks about some of that. But in other words, they didn't, in other words, a farmer could put as many on his place, and these, most we're talking about mobile homes, trailers. And, they had that at $1,000 at one time, then they reduced it to $150 for the first, and then they just did away with the renewal.
But this is speaking to any, any place in the county, right?
Right.
Just A, bullet A is any place in the county.
Yeah.
Whatever the conditions are for specific.
Would you think that's what it was, Woody?
I mean,
On the farmers, no.
I mean, I guess the reality is the nitty-gritty of this would go into your zoning ordinance, obviously, but do we need to get rid of or update this statement being that we do allow for the development of accessory units, regardless whether it's a CUP or not?
We do allow.
We do allow it. So I would, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we allow, and the only thing I would consider looking at is the cost for,
Right, which wouldn't be in this document.
I know, but
Yeah.
when we look at how we're, speaking of what Bill was talking about, that's something we're looking at.
Yeah.
I would recommend looking at. That's just me.
Yeah.
But there is a minimum acreage involved too,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Not in agriculture.
Not in agriculture?
No, sir. It used to be if you wanted to have a second home, you had to have 20
Yeah,
acres.
at the 20 acres, and that's,
Now let them use an accessory dwelling unit on any agricultural property.
okay.
I would say, I would just get rid of revise the zoning ordinance and say, allow for the development of accessory units in locations at,
And that just got adopted with our last zoning ordinance, is when we
Okay.
changed to allow this.
okay.
So it's been revised, and we're
Yeah,
gonna say allow.
so just say allow for the
Continue
development,
allowing.
continue allowing or
So the
allow.
zoning ordinance was revised in 2014. The way it should read, okay?
Do you want to put a date in there?
That's when we revised. I mean, we revised the ordinance.
Right, I would just say.
Was it-
I would just
adopted
say
in
allow, though,
allow.
I wouldn't
Okay.
put the
Continue
date,
to allow.
because when we revise it again, we're gonna have to go back and,
Right.
which that's gonna be a moving target, I think.
Yeah, let's nip that in the bud.
Yeah. Let's get rid of any kind of date we can
It's been a
possibly get
fun-
rid of.
It's been a fun 5.5 years,
That's what I
man.
think.
More than that, it's starting to, they're gonna complain.
I yield.
B, how do you operationalize? Are we operationalizing that?
B, work with that.
Are we doing that?
Working with
Good question.
nonprofits, you mean?
Oh, the whole,
Or the affordable housing developers. of
Correct.
Fairbanks County.
I'm asking.
Habitat for Humanity,
Yep.
Yeah.
let them, help them out.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
there- And some could crop up over
Yeah,
time, which
that's
is
true.
great.
Mm-hmm. Well, we could definitely
Are
keep
we
that.
reduction and waiver of impact fees, allowing less costly alternative building methods and materials? Are we doing that part of it? I'm asking, I don't,
No tiny
Are
homes,
there
no.
impact
I don't think we are. but-
Yeah. But on the flip side, I don't know if we've had a ton of, big developments coming in recently
Yeah,
to
we
even
had-
test the
we had
waters
one.
with this. Yeah.
Boy,
We're pretty strict on building.
was that a fun deal?
You want to do anything with it?
I think that's fine. We can keep
Okay.
it in there.
I'm just saying that we
Yeah.
need to. We've done two.
And 3, even the designate adequate land area in the land use plan to accommodate 20 years of residential growth. We kind of did
Yeah, I
that
think
with
we've-
our I mean, we've done that.
We haven't done 3B.
No.
No.
Well, should that change from the numbers we were using prior to 2010? We were using some exaggerated numbers because things were going so good in 2007 and 2008 when we started on this thing.
Yeah. So maybe, get rid of A on 3 and move B to A.
I think give it an age, it's not really.
Or if it's,
Yeah,
if we can leave, we don't have to take something out if we've done it.
to keep.
Yeah, I think, okay, then we've actually done the comprehensive plan. If there's things that we said we're gonna do, we wanna keep it as part of the plan.
So you want to be
We
able
might
to
put it in
feel
different
good.
tense.
Yeah, you
Well, no,
want
it's- but it's,
mid-season, like,
you
check it
know.
off the to-do list.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a comprehensive plan. It's in keeping with, we don't wanna have everything
Mhm.
not in line with the comprehensive plan. That's just my thought.
Right. I don't care, it doesn't matter, we can keep it in. That one, that's gonna give me a lot of heartburn one way or the other if that's in there.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. One thing, with the large lot development, I was talking to, Bill a little bit, and I wanted to chat with you guys tonight, was kind of two threads of thought here. One was with the subdivision ordinance, and, the board is still kind of going around and around and around with the subdivision ordinance, and Bill and I chatted this morning a little bit about that, and said, what happened if, and wanted to see what you guys thought, if we used basically our old subdivision ordinance, and this idea has been thrown out in the past, and basically just took some of the pieces from the new subdivision ordinance that we liked and plugged it into the old. The one thing I think we're finding is that the new documents, zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance, not that we've used the subdivision ordinance, are kind of arduous going through them. And I've talked to some of the board members, and I think they would be in support of that. And the one problem with our old subdivision ordinance was the large lot development that can occur completely unregulated, basically.
So we actually declare large lot subdivisions as not being subdivisions.
Okay, so large lot.
We would take out the exemption.
Right,
Yes.
that's literally all you have to do. Right now, we simply say if it's 10 acres or more, it's not a subdivision, which
Right.
is plain silly.
It
'cause
is silly.
It's still a subdivision.
It is,
you're
and it's
right.
going, so we have these large swaths of land that are basically just completely unregulated or whatever for
Yes.
lack of a better way of,
Well, the
Speaking.
private road that you voted to deny, or
yeah, I
did
know,
deny,
is,
that's a large lot subdivision.
mhm,
That's the rub right there.
exactly. So, what I would like to propose is that we take what's in our new subdivision ordinance with the conservation subdivisions, try to somehow plug that into our old one and send that to the board.
Didn't March, trying to remember, didn't he have a chart that showed comparisons of existing and new ones, and we've done that to some degree already? Maybe I'm just missing something here.
You may be right.
March had actually taken, in the new one that we never done anything else with, he actually put some limited so that a 10-acre large lot didn't have the same expectations as a smaller lot subdivision, like some of the things, trash receptacles, different things that he took out to make it more practical for a large lot.
Mhm.
So I know March has drafted recommended large lot language.
Well, and in
Okay.
conjunction, I thought he had a comparison table.
It did.
We-
It showed what was missing in one and what was added and the.
So I think we've
So
done
that's-
that already.
Okay, good.
And so I don't know if we had, blow the dust off of that, look at it again and fix this large lot thing, whether or not these subdivisions are regulated. And we are dealing with roads and stuff like that, and just,
Kind of plug that into the old and move forward. And I don't think the
And
board at
maybe
this
next
point would
time
even be
we
opposed.
could-
I think they're,
we could pull that back out again, and let's look at that if you're all amenable to that.
mhm.
So we are going away from, people with, private pieces of property doing what they normally would wanna do. Is that what we're doing?
Say that
And,
again?
getting it underneath the umbrella of a bureaucracy, is that what we're doing?
Not exactly. I see where you're going with that. I mean, they still would have a private road as an option, because it would just
But are we talking about rezoning them?
Yes, they would have to come in
Now-
for a rezoning.
Now,
No, they wouldn't have to come for a rezoning. Here's the problem, right now.
If you did the conservation subdivision, wouldn't they have to come in for
For
a
conservation subdivision, but the 10 acre, the large lot, right now, they don't have to come and do anything.
Correct,
gonna
but we want to
redefine it,
change
correct?
that.
There's no,
If
there's
we-
no
Right,
requirement
all
for
we're doing
rezoning.
is, yeah, there's no requirement to rezone it. If we eliminate that exception for large lots, they
Correct.
just gotta follow the same rules that somebody wanting to do 7 acre lots has to do. They'd have to do it
Well,
with
all
10.
right, now-
They would then
now
have to
on the-
come before us.
On
Yeah,
these,
that's-
on
they
these
wouldn't.
small
We're
lots,
redefining what a subdivision.
No, they wouldn't have to come before you. I mean, subdivisions don't come before you.
Right.
No,
Not unless they have to be rezoned.
no, it's gotta be rezoned, subdivision
We're
plat.
just
I
saying
s-
these
you're
large
correct.
lots
You're
are
correct.
now gonna be
Yes,
called
yes, yes.
subdivisions.
Okay.
And that they're gonna come under subdivision ordinances. They're not that flapping in the breeze.
Right.
So
They
basically.
don't come before you, but they'll go before
Yes,
staff.
you're correct, I'm sorry,
Yep.
yes,
See, that
yes.
what the ordinance says is subdivision exceptions, the following divisions of land shall not be considered a subdivision. Number 4, a division of land resulting in a large lot development. What we're suggesting is a removal of that large lot development shall be a subdivision.
The end.
now.
Basically
now
treating the
what-
guy who's doing 8
what-
acres the
what-
same as
What
10.
does subdivision curtail the uses of? In other words,
Sorry?
how are the uses curtailed when you go to subdivision?
It's not. When you're going to these subdivisions, these large lots, you're just including them in some of the controls you have over a subdivision.
So here we are,
i.e.
we had a bureaucracy telling.
Well, it
somebody-
was a little bit of the opposite of what you said, but then again, we keep running into the private road issues and these large lot subdivisions coming.
You know,
up.
I keep hearing about these
private-
private road issues. I get more complaints on VDOT roads than I do on, private roads.
Well, first of all, private
The-
roads,
the- the-
It's not a
the
private
early
road
private
issue,
roads,
yeah.
yes.
wait a minute. Private roads and large lot subdivisions are two separate
They are.
questions, okay? So forget about private roads, we're talking about large lots. Large lot, if,
part of
in the Sowers case, he wanted to have a VDOT accepted road on part of it and a private road on the other. So the developer can have a VDOT approved road if they want it.
Yeah.
Okay, what we're suggesting is that the rest of our subdivision ordinances should apply to large lot.
Now, what are you gonna do with the uses? In other words, if a man has a big piece of ground, which I do.
So
and
do I.
wanna Cut it up, and I want to still have animals and that type of things on these different lots. Now, what does the subdivision ordinance do to say that I'm gonna be able to use my ground as it has been used?
If you're gonna turn it into a subdivision, that means you're gonna put houses on it, so?
That is a use. That is a use that's in agriculture.
Right.
But Powhatan is becoming more of a little estate-type farming thing. And Farm Bureau is pushing this. And you sit on the board. And
Don't rezone it and it stays agricultural zoning.
You could
It's
do whatever you want.
whatever uses are permitted in agriculture.
But
so why do you have to have the subdivision ordinance controlling it?
Because if you're going to change it to a subdivision, you may not want to have, I don't know, there may be some limitations on use if you're, right?
But that's what I'm saying, you're
maybe.
limiting users once you go into a subdivision.
Tom, can
no,
you
no.
give us the example,
Yeah,
when we
don't-
sat in that, give us the example of why this is a bad thing?
What we have to avoid is thinking the word subdivision equals
Houses.
bunch of residential houses. Subdivision literally simply means taking
Subdividing.
one piece and dividing it into multiple pieces.
Subdividing.
So you could subdivide a 500 acre farm into 425 acre farms, that's a subdivision. Now, under our ordinance, it's not.
Right.
But what we say is if you take your 100 acres and cut it into 8 acre parcels, you gotta come to the planning staff.
You gotta rezone it.
Well, it's only 10. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's
that,
another
see, in that
example,
case,
say
you
if
would
you
need
were
to
to-
come.
you'd have to
would
do it, you're
come
right.
before
I forgot
That's
about
why
that.
we've had
Well, if
that
you
for
cut them
so
into
long.
10-acre
But-
lots,
It
what
allows people to use that
That's it,
ground.
okay, so what happens if you have, say you have 500 acres in A10, and you cut it into
10-acre lots.
10-acre lots?
Right, that means you
Right
could,
now, we would have no regulation over that
you
whatsoever.
could put a 50-home subdivision
Right,
that we would have,
no
as
regulation over.
long as you put a VDOT road,
Yeah,
we would have, nobody would even talk to us about it.
yeah.
And are we
That's-
okay with that? guess
That's what the
question.
million-dollar question is right there. Are we okay with that?
That is the question. I mean, and this is happening right now.
Right down off of Mannequin Town Ferry
Off of
Road.
Mannequin Town Ferry,
everywhere.
where-
Yeah, where we have absolutely no, and it might be fine, but I think it's something we should talk
I
about.
do
What's the advantage and what's the disadvantage of having that, you know? I mean, do we want to have some, you know,
Control.
control, yeah, I hate
it is-
using
Well,
that
that's a
word.
good word, isn't it?
Well, it needs to be fixed either way. We need to eliminate saying it's not a subdivision. It is a subdivision.
It is.
Now, if we want to say it is a subdivision, but we don't care, do what you want, that's fine, but we really need to fix what is a logical fallacy in the ordinance that says it's not a subdivision, because it is a subdivision. Now, we might say we don't want to do anything with respect to regulation, that's fine. But one of March's points and my points is we're technically declaring a legal fallacy, which is that a subdivision is not a subdivision.
And it is a little unfair to the people that have to come in for a rezoning in the sense that, okay, you can say you have, 500 acres and you put 50 houses. Those 50 houses still have an impact on the county, and those people don't, and I know proffers are going away, but not saying, I'm just making the point that I think they should fall under some sort of a little regulation or scrutiny, that the rest of the county falls under.
If they were under the subdivision ordinance, it would, access management may hit them, but that's the only thing I know of.
What, we'll hit them?
The access management standards.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
I gotta think about this one.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. As well as using the old subdivision ordinance.
Main thing is traffic.
Because I think if we look at the old subdivision ordinance,
Well,
it wasn't a
the old
bad, it
subdivision
wasn't a
ordinance
bad
is the current
document.
subdivision.
I keep calling it that, I'm sorry, I did,
Right.
yes. The current subdivision ordinance isn't awful, it just needs some tweaks, and if we can,
Well, I would go back to what March has already.
yeah, let's
Just
take a
revisit
look at
the
that
effort that's
and. Mm-hmm.
been made in the context of this
Well, if you
conversation.
cut out the 10 acre private road subdivision, large lot subdivision, most of the people will come in, and then you have twice as many houses. Simple as that.
Not necessarily, because you can still do private road.
What is a private road subdivision? There's
still
no
do-
such thing as that.
Well, it's what we've been referring to, no, you put a private road in, and you can put 10 lots on it.
Right.
Right. But they're two separate things.
Well, that's fine, that's right. But you gotta have access to public highway, and you do that through the private road.
Correct. I have no problems with private roads. That's not, that's,
Yeah, I
that's
think
not,
we're-
that's not, I don't have any problem with that at all. What I do think is that to Tom's point, that large lot developments should be considered a subdivision, and we should see what, if any, restrictions we think should be placed on them.
I agree with that, Steve.
And maybe the
Well,
answer,
Maybe minimal.
That's one of the reasons people, well, the old, you have some developers, but most time, the private road is, and the divisions that follow are for small, little horse farms and that type of thing, just like, well, our Paris County attorney had a little vineyard. Of course, he was on residential, but he couldn't have had any animals, domestic animals there, because you can't have it
but the
on residential.
large lot developments are 8, 10, okay? And if you don't rezone it, whatever your by right uses don't change.
Right.
But still, why do we keep mentioning we want to have control over them, as David is talking about?
We talked about, do we want any? And if I'm going down a list, is there some stormwater drainage type things
Yeah,
that want
right.
to happen? I don't know.
Well,
there's some
Monica
things in the
Soil
subdivision
and
ordinance.
Water covers all that.
Hmm?
We have more things to do. Monica Soil and Water covers that. And
I
the
get it.
E&S, if you build a house, the E&S people,
I'm suggesting that there may be some things existing in the subdivision ordinance that we might want to apply to these large lot subdivisions. I think we just have to have a dialogue. Don't know how that's gonna fall out.
I agree.
think that's what we're saying.
Yeah. Just have a little rap session.
And then the homework assignment would be go through and see,
Yeah.
after we pull out
Get that
the new
chart.
ordinance and the tweaking that we're gonna do, that's one thing. And the other thing is large lots. Is there are some things that overlap this. That
Exactly.
would be applicable, or not, to large lot subdivision. A subdivision, if you subdivide something, that's.
I think control, maybe that's the problem. I don't think control is
Is
the
the
issue.
right word, it's,
Input. The county would have
Good,
input in.
y'all want to change something, 'cause, you know.
Well, I mean, it really isn't about control, it's
dead
just
end
about
there, 'cause
us
we
having
went
some
around
input and
Right, what it-
involvement in the process.
Well, I mean,
when
what
you're
you're
talking,
doing,
it's a
I can see
substantial
him
amount of
talking to
land. I
Denny
mean, it's like 60%
about
of the
control
county.
in his ground.
whenever we
So-
do these things, it's to protect the people who are going to move in there.
Yeah.
One other thing that may get us on the, if you had a subdivision, it may make them put underground utilities. You may wanna say subdivision zone agriculture may be exempt from certain things, but they're not exempt from certain things.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good example. It's probably something you wouldn't want to.
Well, how about this? How about, Ed, we can chat with March, get that, chart, and, we will put this on for next month, and in the meantime, if, be thinking about it, basically.
Can we kind of go back to one of the things you talked about at first? And
Sure.
this has to do with trying to bring some resolution
To
to the subdivision
Yeah,
ordinance,
absolutely.
whatever version you want to look at.
That is gonna, yeah, I think we need to
and
really push that.
what
And I don't know
that-
if y'all know this, but we have settled our litigation with Clarion.
Exactly, so we
No, no,
can,
so we can do this now.
So we're
Yes,
free
that
to
was-
go, and
Yeah.
we're
yeah.
getting a good chunk of our money back.
So-
Land has been given.
So the question would be, are we really, what we're really talking about is pulling the subdivision ordinance back to the planning commission,
And I think the board is fine with that.
okay? But I don't know that members
Yeah.
of the planning commission are fine with it, okay? That we know.
Good question, Bill.
I mean, pulling it back, this means time, this means effort, and trying to use the existing subdivision ordinance as the basis for change,
I'm game.
okay?
Just to make this,
Owen?
All right, Owen, he's along for the ride, I can
I've
tell.
been through all this stuff many times.
Well, you know how to hold reins then.
Good stuff.
I made the comment when we started this comp plan, and I'm still holding to it. We should have done it, shouldn't have made Clarion involved. And,
put her over to Dan.
Yeah.
that's about the fourth or fifth one I went through, and
So what are we're gonna,
we wouldn't have had to
We
change
get the
all
chart from
ordinance.
March. Basically, let's start with the large lot. Let's work on that, because that's, I think, the clearly the biggest.
From the next chapters here, or are we gonna do that?
No,
all
we're
at the
still
same
gonna be
time?
doing that in conjunction. We'll
Who's going to pick a
probably.
chapter for next time?
March picked the housing, so maybe we'll do economic development.
Ask him which one he wants us to do.
Okay.
well, economic development means we have to merge
Yeah, that report,
what's in
that's a little
here
daunting.
with that inch of paper.
Yeah.
And I think probably
sounds good.
economic
Put it on
development
me, all right.
is the one thing we need to work on more than worrying about anything else. That's the most comments I get is on the residential, commercial,
correct.
industrial. I mean, I think somebody told me it's 92 and 8 now.
Yeah,
Oh, you
And they're
mean-
concerned about the high
That's because they don't want the
residential
the taxes.
the tax.
offset of the
Well,
county.
Yeah,
Because
then
of
we,
tax.
then we get a, then we get a commercial, application and people raise hell. But anyhow, that's the way it is.
Yes,
We just gonna have to have backbone stand up and do the commercial, industrial and all that.
Okay, so.
We just gonna have to do
by
it.
and large,
Someone's
I
gotta
think
bring
we've
it
been
to
able
us.
to do it.
Housing was
And
a,
we're going
Yeah, somewhat.
Flesh out
It's
the
been a
business.
good draft of these.
which he's got to.
It's a lot of residential coming in right now.
Is there?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, someone's gotta bring that business to the county before it comes to us.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in June, we're supposed to be.
The ratio is off until we have a limited,
These-
our limited
the-
corridor and
the-
some
the
basic
first four
things, so we
chapters.
just.
Yes,
5 chapters.
okay, all right.
And of course, we didn't have water and sewer for a long time.
For-
And we were holding it at 85-15. And doing pretty good, and instead we get water and sewer.
And then when-
Oh, we'll get this thing, we'll get this thing in 70-30.
Didn't go-
Went the other way.
That went.
Now,
Bill
we have,
has
we have
his-
water and sewer, and it cost us $2.7 million.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Bobby
The,
Cosby probably was right. years ago.
For June, we can do the Chapter 1, 2, and 3 draft that we've kind of worked on. And actually, we probably can tell them the housing and do that, too. I mean, you know,
But
that's
just-
going to take,
I would let, for the flow of things, see what March wants.
okay.
It's just-
Well, that's his plan.
That's
Oh,
what's on his
That was his
chart.
plan. He's,
Yeah, so I'll get with them, though.
this said that we wouldn't look at chapter 6 until
July.
July. That we, in June, we'd go back and take a look at the first 5 chapters we've been through, look at a draft of the changes and see if we could come to agreement on that. So that you don't push the draft of everything at the end. You do,
That makes sense.
yeah.
So you're gonna, whichever one I don't know which one you had next.
The draft.
Oh, so there's.
So that's
new
it.
chapters.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
So for June, I'm gonna tell him he needs to look at the draft for 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Yes. And then the chart,
There needs to be a draft.
yeah. Yes, there needs to be a draft for us to review to move, yes.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, not, yeah, yeah. Better put. And then, can you relay also, and I'll chat with him about what we discussed tonight.
Comparison chart.
Yep.
Get that emailed at y'all. If I can find it tomorrow, I'll get it tomorrow. If not,
That'd be great. All right, and then put that back on the agenda for June.
you know what, I'll get you a copy.
Cool. All right, anything else? If not, meeting adjourned.
Ed,